Good morning, everybody. Well, I heard the bell, so I think it's time for us to begin, right? All right, good deal. Hey, this morning we got something a little bit different. We got a special guest with us this morning. Jonathan Kroll is here from the World Bible Institute. You may know that we support him and that organization each month with helping spread the gospel and train preachers all over the world. And good organization. And Jonathan's going to tell us a little bit about that. Give us a report and tell us what's going on this morning. And then during the worship hour, he'll also bring the lesson for us. And for those of you that might not know, Jonathan's in-laws have a long history with the church here at Maud. And his father-in-law was Dan Fredman, that we all loved and cared for very much. And, of course, his wife, Lacey, too. So with that, I'm going to ask Jonathan to come and share his report with you. Jonathan.
All right. Well, thank you very much for letting me be here. I greatly appreciate the opportunity. I was we did our semi-annual staff retreat over in Aurora, which is a little bit northwest of Fort Worth. And so I thought, I'm here. I want to come by and see everybody and check in and kind of give everybody an update. So I appreciate you letting me take up a little bit of your time this morning. I'm going to start, I know it says 2025. It's been a little while since I was here, so I'm going to kind of start back in a little bit of 2024 since the last time I was here and catch you guys up. So we'll kind of go through some of this kind of quickly. If you have any questions along the way, please be sure to let me know, and I'll do my best to answer that. So just a quick update, if you remember, I am over at Ghana and Togo, so I'm going to start with going over a little bit of information for our schools that are in Ghana. We have the Volta Bible College. We have 22 students who graduated this past June from the Volta Bible College. This is a picture when I was over there teaching them last year. There's a little extension school, so the teachers at Volta have decided that they don't have enough to do, apparently. And so they have, actually what it is they have some students people who want to train to be preachers, but they can't make the trip down to Volta. They can't leave their families. And so they've started a satellite school, and where they go up there a couple times out of the month, and they teach and train some men who want to be preachers in one of the church buildings up there. And so they have 10 students that they're training on a part-time basis in their satellite program there from the Volta Bible College. If we go over to Jojay, we have the East Coast Bible Institute, and we have 14 students graduate June 1st from the East Coast. This is in 2024. We've got some more for 2025 coming up here in just a little bit. This is a school that's a part-time program. It's in the evenings, and these men and women want to come and study and learn and grow in their Bible knowledge. Then we have the WBI Thornton School of Christian Service. This is in northeastern Ghana. And now this school, we had 15 who graduated in October of 2024, but it is currently on hold. There's a tribal conflict that's going on. Let's see. Earlier in 2024, when I first went over there, it was an interesting experience. I got to, the brethren came to me and told me before we went up there, they said, hey, just so you know, there's some tribal conflict going on. We're gonna go up there, and hopefully basically they said hopefully they won't shoot us. So we went up there. It was interesting as we were teaching some of the students at nights. You could hear some of the gunfire that was going on and that kind of stuff. And apparently the conflict has escalated, so we've had to put that school on hold until the government can get that conflict settled down a little bit. But you can see some wonderful pictures. As you can tell, that goofy guy in the middle there with the red and black, African clothes are not made for Americans. They just don't fit right. But, they wanted me to wear it, so I did. But it was a great time there. They took me to a new program they were going, and this always inspires confidence when you're driving. You see this sign that says, very weak bridge, beware, use alternate route if possible. And I'm like, and they're like, no, it's fine, trust us. And I'm like, Y'all do realize you're carrying an American back here with you, right? It's not just you guys. And so anyway, the roads there are a little bit different, but it was fun. It was an adventure. And so we went up and they started another satellite program here in this church building. And so it was a good time to talk with those guys and meet with those and teach those students as well. Quick recap on some of our schools over in Togo. In Lomé, we had 5 students who graduated in October of last year. There's 8 current students that are going on that actually graduated this past June. We'll talk about that. These are the 5 students who graduated. This is some pictures from the graduation in the church building there in Lomé. Lomé is the capital of Togo, and this is just on the northwest side of that there in Lomé. So there's a picture of the church building there and the fellowship things that went on with that graduation. It was a good time. The students' families were there. Graduation is a big deal in Togo and in most of the African countries. In Ghana, it takes, graduation is normally in the U.S. take about how long? Hour and a half. If you've got a big school, there it's like 3 hours. I mean, you're going to sit there and like, this person's going to speak, and this person's going to speak, and this person's going to speak, and then they'll have some prayers, and then they'll have, and I mean, it's an interesting process, but it's good. Atakpame, this is a school that's about in the middle of, as you go north in Togo. Lomé's down at the south end of Togo. As you go north, this is one of our schools there. We have currently 50 students there. 20 of them are full-time and what they call regular students. 30 of them are weekend students. They come in on the weekends. They have a job and they can't afford to leave their families behind, and so they come in and work and learn on the weekends. Garinkuka, this is a school that's a little bit further north as you go up Togo. It has 17 students in it. As you go further north in both in Ghana and in Togo, you got to remember you end up with more Muslim populations. And so there's 17 students up there in Garinkuka area. When we first went into there, it was predominantly Muslim. There are several congregations of the Lord's Church there now, and more students are coming into that program. Nordsee is a little satellite school that they've started, and they started 20 students this past October. And so, as you can tell, this work, we try to make establish works that are going to be self-propagating, and that's what happens. As we go in, we'll do evangelistic campaigns, establish congregations, and then they will pick people that have the educational abilities to be able to read and write, because not everybody can do that over there. Those that want to can learn and train and become leaders in the church. Depang, this is at the very northernmost part of Togo. This school is also on hold right now. Here back in 2024, some Islamic militant Islamics came down and they essentially waged war with the Togolese government. They attacked one of their military bases and took it over, and so Togo has been fighting them and has expelled them. But because of all of that, they said, hey, listen, you can assemble groups together on Sundays for worship, but other than that, we don't want a large group of people getting together again, because they're not sure that they got everybody, ran out, and they don't want everybody forming back. So that school's on hold right now until the Togolese government gives us permission to reassemble our classes for our students. So we're kind of in flux, waiting on them to give us the okay for that. So in Ghana and Togo, 2024 summary, shared the gospel with about 10,000 people, more or less. 4,000 people last year in 2024 were baptized in these two countries alone. 600 people restored, and 150 new congregations of the Lord's Church were planted. And that's just some numbers from Ghana and Togo. Altogether, with WBI, with the work that we're doing, I think they said there was around 11,000 who were added to Christ last year from all the schools in the different areas. So God is powerful and God is working, and He is doing a lot of great things. So some of the things that I did that are more U.S. based and not just solely over there in Ghana and Togo, I got to attend a spiritual formation retreat with Heritage Christian. This is for ministers that want to be able to help their congregations and those that they're ministering to well. It's a leadership retreat, and so it was really good. Kirk Brothers, I don't know if you guys know him or not, but he did a great job putting on this. The theme of it was Lead Like Jesus. And so we were learning about a lot of leadership things about how Jesus led and how we can help others. My daughter got to go to the Lance to Leaders Invitational there at Faulkner University and speak for them. And so she enjoyed that. And so I went with her to that. I spoke at the Legacy Family Camp East there in Alabama and taught some classes on that. Then in, September of last year, I went to Minnesota. There's a congregation up there, held their first annual, kicked off their men's seminar. And so I did that, and we taught. We had a couple days worth of lessons over what it is to be a godly man and the kinds of things that need to happen there. And so that was really great. Then in November of last year, I traveled to Long Island and talked to the church up there about the work that's going on, and invited them to come with me on some of my mission trips. And one of them actually took me up on that offer, and you will see her picture here in just a little bit. Okay, moving to January. January of this year, I went to a medical missions conference. This is at the McDermott Road Church of Christ. And so they held that medical missions conference. Ariana and I went there just to kind of prep, because I'm trying to get some networking done to establish some medical missions over to Ghana. And so I was trying to make some connections there and get some additional training with some of those things. If you've never sutured, you should give that a try. It's an interesting skill. It takes some practice. So let's see. And then in March, I took a group of Freed Hardeman students up to Spencer, Wisconsin, and we did a mission VBS up there for them. And so you can see some pictures of the group that we took up there and the work that they were doing with the congregation there. And that was a big success. We also, while we were there, we went out into the community and did some work at Ronald McDonald House and at some shelters for abused women and the children. And so we went out there and helped them and just kind of spreading the name of the church around in the community there. Did a gospel meeting for the evening time, and Jeff Jenkins came and joined us up there for that. And some of our guys got to speak, and it was great. Let's see here. We also, one of the other things we did when we were there during the days is we would go to a kids after-school program, spent some time with the kids in the community, taught them about Jesus and Bible stories and those kinds of things from the VBS. The further north you go, a lot of the Bible knowledge that we assume is common is not. And so some of these kids hadn't heard some of these Bible stories about Samson and some of these others. They had no idea who these people were. And so it was really good opportunity for us to spend some time with them and be able to teach them a little bit about the Bible. Then in May, Freed Hardeman hosts a ministry camp, and I was a part of that. And so we did the Equip camp with these guys, and it was great to have some young men who are interested in becoming ministers and be able to encourage them and challenge them and strengthen them and spend some time with them. Then in June, Lacey and I took a group of students from Freed Hardeman, her Zateo girls. They did a missions ladies' day. This is in Huntingtown, Maryland. We went up north. Again, this is, I think, at this congregation, this was the first time that they had a ladies' event in 20 years. And so we went up there and did that. And we had one person who was baptized while we were up there in the studies that were there. So there's some of the things that we did with them and helped them out while we were there. So just FYI, this guy right here is Brandon, the guy in the pictures with the saw and the truck. His name is Brandon Ferguson. He's also he also works with us with World Bible Institute. He's our India coordinator, and that's his wife Angela with my wife Lacey there. Then in July, Lacey and we always run the Future Teacher Training Camp there in Enid, Oklahoma, and so that camp went off well. We had a great time. training ladies and young ladies how to be better Bible class teachers, and how to, develop lessons and teach appropriate to age appropriate and handle all kinds of different things. And so it was good for that. Then also in June, in our schools, here's some graduations from this year. There were several students who graduated from the different schools. And so you can just see some of those there. We have our schools from Otakpame, Lome, East Coast Bible Institute, and then also Garinkuka. So those are our four schools that are pictured there. And as you can see, more and more people are learning and becoming equipped to teach and preach God's Word all over. It's kind of amazing just to see what God's doing. Okay, then in July of this year, end of July, 1st of August, I went back to Ghana and Togo, and I took with me a group, and we went to do some mission work. And so some of the things that we did while we were there, the ladies did a seminar for the area ladies Bible class teachers. So in Ghana, the ladies that normally teach their Bible classes, they gathered them up, and some of our ladies put on a seminar for them on how to teach class better and how to do better Bible study and all those kinds of things. And so that was good. While I was there, I got to teach a couple of short courses over the book of Ephesians to the Volta Bible College, and then also to the East Coast Bible Institute students. These are some very smart men. They were very engaged with the classes. They enjoyed it so much. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about them. They were really, really excited to be there and to learn to preach and teach. And so it was really great. It was really encouraging to be there with them. One of the other things we did while we were there, one of the other persons who went with me is Courtney Kelsley, and she is a NICU nurse and she lives in Spencer, Wisconsin. I met her when we were doing the VBS up there, and she said she wanted to do some medical mission stuff, and so she came with us. And so she put on a training seminar for the doctors and the nurses that were at the hospital there in Jojé. And so she was teaching them about infant resuscitation and some of those kinds of things that they desperately need. I don't know if you've ever been abroad, but when you go to some of these developing countries, the distance and the difference, I guess would be a better way. The difference in the training that we have here in the U.S. and the training they receive there is sometimes staggering. And so she's teaching them some of the things that, as a nurse, you have to know here in the U.S. that they didn't know there. And so that's especially important at the hospital there at Jojé, as they do a lot of labor and deliveries for the community. So we wanted them to be able to have those skills. All right. We also did some preaching and teaching while we were there. I think altogether there were 20 lessons that were given during this week time span that we were there, different devotionals and sermons and those kinds of things. And then the majority of our time was spent doing mobile evangelism. And essentially what we did with this is we would take and go to some remote village areas, and some of the faculty and staff from the facility there, the hospital, would come out. The doctors, the PAs, the nurses, and they would set up medical screening area. And so the people from the villages, a lot of times they don't have access to medical care. And so they would come out, and we would do some basic health screens. We would do some blood pressure checks, blood sugar checks, just kind of basically see if there's anything going on that needs to be addressed. And they would receive either some vitamins if their iron count was low, iron pills, those kinds of things. They would receive prescriptions if they had any other problems going on. And then after they had their medical screening, they would come and sit down with us, and we had a chance to share the gospel with them. And so it was an amazing opportunity. We went out to a lot of different places that, as you can tell, are a little bit poorer than what you might find around here. And it was a great time. So here's some pictures of us doing some studies with them. And the different kinds of things that were going on. One of the other things that we did, and you'll see these in these pictures on the right there, was we set up not just out in the villages, but in the town of Jojé itself. we set up at one of the local church buildings, and we had some eye doctors and some dentists come in, and they came in to help, and we had a large turnout to that. I think there was over 400 people that came to that clinic that day that we got to study with. And what was really interesting about that is it was our team of 8 from the U.S. We had 16 gospel preachers who were translating and helping us study with people while we were there. So it was our team. And then we had probably 50 to 70 members of the congregation that were there come in, and most of them stayed throughout the day. They would come in, some of them had to go, obviously, but yeah, there were several members of the congregation that came in to be with the people in the community, to help us study with them. And so it was really great to see the congregation there being engaged in the local evangelism effort that we were able to put together for that. So just some pictures of us. Okay, so I told you one of the people came from New York. You can see her in these pictures here. This is Sister Fang, both in the top right and the top left. She came from Long Island. She is a unique person. She grew up in China but has immigrated to the United States, been here for several years. And she was kind of a boss on the mission field. She's done a lot of different mission work. And so we went into some of these places, and we're looking around, and she wasn't scared one little bit. She was like, okay, this reminds me of home when I grew up as a kid. I got this. And so she just went out and was, where some people are a little intimidated, not Sister Fang. She was neat to watch and to grow. Another neat thing that happened on this trip, the young lady that's with her in both those pictures, the one in the pink shirt, if you're looking at the top left picture, and then on the top right picture, the one in the orange dress there, that is Sister Lois. And one of the brothers that we work with, John Morkley, he's kind of our coordinator over there. That's his youngest daughter. And this was her first time to go out and do a lot of this too. She went out and translated. So she has not, she's always watched her dad go out and do these things, and her sisters get to go do some of these things. Always wanted to go, but never got the chance until this time. So it was fun. John and I were sitting there as we were watching this, and I just told John, I was like, this is so great. Because both my older 2 daughters got to go with me on this trip, which was nice. And I was like, I'm just so proud, just watching them. And he's like, I understand. I'm so proud. This is her first time, And so we just kind of had our little dad moment over there, looking at our kids doing God's work. And it was an amazing time just to stand there and just take in all the things that God is doing. So a couple more pictures. The one on the bottom right, I wanted to kind of point this one out to you. This was pretty neat. This brother, the man in the orange came and he studied with us, and he was baptized, but he was not done. When he got back, he said, oh, hey, I have questions. And so they said, okay, we have answers. And they sat down and they said, let's go. And so they spent, I'm not kidding, probably an hour and a half after he got baptized. What about this? And let's go over here and let's talk about this. And all the questions that he had, they were trying to answer. What was unique about this area, or some of these areas that we went to, where we went into some areas where people had never heard of anything. Sometimes people would sit down and you would study with them and you would say, have you ever heard of Jesus? And they're like, nope. Oh, what about the Bible? Nope. Let me tell you about God, right? Because they were raised in idol worship, and in that a lot of the areas, the small villages that we went to, their families had been raised in idol worship for years and years, and so literally you walk in and you sit down with some of these people, and it is a complete blank slate. They've never heard of the one true God, Yahweh. They've never heard of the Bible. They don't know about Jesus, and so you get to sit down with literally a blank slate and go, okay, let me start from the beginning. Here, let me teach you about God. Let me teach you about Jesus and what He's done through Jesus. Let me teach you about the Bible. And it was an amazing experience. It was also very challenging in some regards because I don't know about you, but in America, I've never had to study with idol worshipers before. And most people in America have at least heard of God, heard of the Bible, heard of Jesus. They have some frame of reference. And so it was an interesting and challenging experience, especially most of the people that went on our trip, other than myself, Sister Fang, and Mark Pitts, us three were the only three out of our group that had ever done, but everybody else, this was their first time out of the U.S. So they're sitting there going, wait a minute. You don't know these? Wait, you don't know about the God? You don't know about the Bible? You don't know about Jesus? Where do we start with this, And so it was a great growing experience. We learned a lot, and it was good for them to have that experience, I think. While we were there, God was working very powerfully. I think in that we were there working for about 5 or 6 days, and in that span, 60 people obeyed the gospel. I'm not going to put all of their pictures up here, but just some examples. As you can see, God was just moving and working. So many people obeying the gospel. It was a great thing. We held, I think, in that 6-day span, we held over 650. Over 650 Bible studies. 60 people were baptized into Christ. 19 people were restored. And so God was really moving and working for us during that time frame. I guess working through us would be a better way to say that. And so it was amazing to see God move and work in such powerful ways. Moving forward, a couple of things that are on the docket for me. The Volta Bible College, we are in the process of developing a master's degree for those students. Volta Bible College is our bachelor's degree, and the ministers there are like, hey, we want more. We want to do more. And so one of the jobs that I have coming up is I'm going to be trying to develop a master's program for them and get that implemented and get that started in the next, hopefully within this next year, we're going to try to get that up and running for them and going. And then also, the hospital there has asked us to look into starting a foundation. And there's some reasons for that. One of the things that the hospital does, as we talked about last time I was here, the hospital provides funding for the mission work. We started that clinic there as a way to support the work. And as of right now, that hospital supports 15 different Togolese ministers, and they're supporting them on their own. Well, one of the things that we have been working on, me and another sister who lives down in Texas here, Kathy Fromberger, we've been working on trying to help develop the hospital so that they can increase their funding. And one of the things that we learned is that there is grant money out there available for international medical works that we could do. However, because the hospital contributes directly to ministries, and it crosses one of those lines that says, we're not going to give you any of our money. And so one of the things that we're looking into is how can we separate those things where we could get some of this funding for the hospital. And the solution that we seem to come up with is we're going to start a foundation. And so we're going to try to start a foundation where the hospital can contribute its funds to that foundation, that NGO, non-government entity kind of thing. And then from there, the money can be dispersed to the preachers. But that would give the hospital the divide where we could actually get some grant funding for the hospital as well. So I've never started a foundation. I don't know what that looks like. So if you do, can I visit with you, please? Because I have no idea where to start with this. But this is one of the tasks. When I was over there in June, John Morley, who's kind of running the hospital, he said, we need to talk about this because I need you guys to do this. So that's one of the things that I'm going to be trying to figure out. And if you have any insight to that, I would love to visit with you, pick your brain a little bit. If you could give me some guidance, I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Upcoming stuff for me in the next few months. In a couple weeks from now, I will be speaking at Freed-Hardeman University. They have a lot of the Christian colleges across the Brotherhood have put together what they call the Global Missions Experience. And so students that are interested in mission work from these different campuses come. That it moves around to a different campus each year. They come to this event, and so we have those of us who have mission experience can teach there and bring them some lessons and some thoughts about going into the mission field, what it might look like, what they could possibly do, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll be speaking on that in a couple weeks there. It's September, the weekend of the 18th, that weekend there at Freed-Hardeman. Hopefully, I'm going to be traveling to India just as soon as that's done. That'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then if I have applied for my visa to India, and hopefully they will approve it. It is getting a little bit harder to get into India. I don't know if you guys know anybody that does mission work over there. But there's several people that I know that have actually had their visas revoked and told they can't come back to the country. There is a kind of a militant movement of Hinduism that says if you're not Hindu, we don't want you. And so I'm hoping that they'll approve my visa. If they do, I plan to travel to India at the last week of this month. And so I'll be gone there. There's a brother in Kamaru who wants to talk to me about establishing a medical clinic to help minister to the low caste. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but India has a caste system, and if you're in the low caste, you don't matter as much as some of those that are in the higher castes. And so he wants to minister to those who don't have health care or can't get health care very easily. So hopefully we can work something out with that. Then in October, I will begin teaching. This will be online, but I will begin teaching the master's program for the school in Liberia. So I'll be teaching the book of Daniel for them starting in October. And then at the end of October, I'll be speaking for chapel at Heritage Christian University. And my intention is to talk to them about having some of their students come with us on some of our trips. And then in December, I will be speaking for chapel at Freed-Hardeman University. And then hopefully towards the middle of December, I'll be headed back to Ghana and Togo. So that's what's coming up for me in the next few months. So far on the schedule for next year, I'm going to be teaching at Horizons. Then we're doing Future Teacher Training Camp there in Enid. There's the Zateo mission trip that's planned. I'll be taking a group of students back up to Spencer, Wisconsin over spring break. Equip Camp is in May. And then we are launching another session of the teacher training camp, but this one's going to be in Estes in Tennessee where we are. So that's also on the docket as well. What's really exciting about FTTC Estes is that this is the next generation. So, my wife and I have been running Future Teacher Training Camp for about 8 years now. And they're out of Enid. And since the camp has really kind of got established and started, it's been the same group of ladies who've been teaching, which is Erin Sprouse, Christy Huntsman, Lacey Kroll. We've had a couple of the other teachers, but Kathy Petrillo comes in and does a lot of our teaching. She's been there for a long time with us now. And so these are all older ladies who are ministers' wives, elders' wives. They have experience. And so we've been training young ladies for a long time. And so FTTC Estes is the next generation. So some of the young ladies that have come through our program there in Enid are going to be the teachers and the instructors there in Tennessee. And so we're trying to pass that torch on to them and let them teach. And so Rio Kroll, Ariana Kroll, Ansley Pitts, and Hannah Moxley are going to be our next set of teachers there in Tennessee. So it's kind of a neat thing for us this year. It's going to be kind of a bittersweet thing where we watch them take over and hand that off to them. So that's what's going on for me. Any questions? I've thrown a lot of information at you, but nobody raised their hand, so I kept going. Yes, sir.
Man, it's just interesting that some ground appears to be so much more fertile than You almost gotta throw a $50 gift card to Roadhouse in a bag of the Bible to get anybody to take it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah.
And I just don't get it. Unless it's poverty.
I think that's part of it, to be honest with you. I think we in America are very comfortable, and I think maybe too comfortable. And so when we already have, what do we need God for? And the people over there, they don't have a lot of physical things, and they very much see the need for spiritual things. So I think that's probably one of the elements. I think there's some more to it, but I definitely think that's part of it.
Do you also think they may be dissatisfied with the broad Muslim religion as well?
I think, yeah, depending on the area, I do. Especially those that live, I don't know, in the upper third of Africa. They have a lot of. There's a lot more militantism of Islamic, yeah, and I think some of them see that as not a good thing, and yeah, I think some of them don't like that. So yeah, I think that's also part of it. I can't speak for some of the other islands. I don't know how much of an Islamic influence they have over there, but in Africa, I think that's part of that process. Yeah.
Do y'all have some of the problems that were experienced during the early church where they were wanting to bring some Jewish traditions in? Do y'all see a lot of that?
So yeah, you do. Anytime you take somebody out of one background and bring them into another, you definitely have a lot of things to work through. And so that's one of the things that I really enjoy and like about the work here is, I'm talking to you about the evangelism campaigns, but a lot of times when I go over there, my work is not let's go out and do evangelism, but let's go out and strengthen these new Christians. And so there's times where my trip is we're going to go to this congregation and we're going to check on them and we're going to see how they're doing and we're going to strengthen them. We're going to pray with them. We're going to talk with them, answer questions that they have. Then we're going to drive from this one. We're going to go over to this new congregation that was established, and we're going to do the same thing with them. And we're going to go over. And so there are times when I spend 2 or 3 days traveling with the brothers from place to place to place, doing nothing but strengthening the disciples. Because you're exactly right. They do try to. I mean, it's just human nature. This is what I'm used to. This is what we do, and so we bring it with us. And so yeah, we spend a lot of time. And the brethren do a lot of this without me, to be honest with you. They spend a lot of time going back with each congregation. That's why with the works we have going over in Ghana and Togo, they have an 80% retention rate because they go back and they follow Paul's example. Paul went through established congregations and on his missionary journeys, and then he's like, hey, let's go back, and you can read in the book of Acts where he goes back and strengthens the souls of the disciples. And I think that's one of the things that we really need to do here in America. Especially when we get new Christians, we need to make sure we spend some time with them and strengthen them and help them grow. It's very easy to get pulled back into your old lifestyle, just because that's what you're used to, that's your habits. All right, how many? Yes. No, go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, it's very bizarre to think that you meet someone who's never heard of God or Jesus. That's crazy. But so you meet these people, never heard of Jesus, never heard of the Bible.
Right.
I'm guessing that you start with God.
Yes.
But is it hard to convince them that the God they've been worshiping in their house is just as good as the one you're telling them about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fair
Is that
enough.
a difficult thing to convince them of?
So, yes and no, both at the same time. Most of the religions that believe in polytheism, they also have a hierarchy. And so when I talk to the people, I said, I want to talk to you about the God above all gods. And most of them can relate to that concept. Now, their concept and my concept are very different. We're coming at that from very different angles. But I want to talk to you about this God, and I want to tell you about what the Bible teaches in regards to what He does. And then I'll take them through the whole. There's a very easy way to explain the gospel to people who've never heard of that. And basically, you frame it in 3 circles. Let me tell you about basically creation and the perfectness and the wonderful things that God wants for us. But we broke that. And now we live in a broken world. And I have them talk about the brokenness that they see in the world and let them relate to their own lives and on those kinds of things. and how do we fix this? And that's when I go in and can talk about Jesus. And so you can, if you approach it in that way, it gives you a pretty easy way, even if they don't have a lot of knowledge about God or about the Bible, that you just teach them the story, the story of the Bible, without turning to all necessarily every single scripture, like we would do in the States. And so you can do a lot of that. And it's very, one of the things that took a little bit of adjustment for me. I'm a very visual person. I like to read things for myself. I like to go all that. But one of the things that I've learned going over there is it can't always be done that way, because a lot of those people, they might have a third grade education, if that. Some of them, education is not free over there. And so you can only go to school as much as your parents can pay. So if your parents can pay for school up to 5th grade, you get a 5th grade education. If they can only do 3rd grade, you get a 3rd grade education. If they can pay all the way through high school, then you go through high school, And so it's whatever your parents can afford. And so sometimes you sit down with people and they really, they would have a lot of trouble reading the Bible. And so I try to do a lot more verbal teachings, and I'll read passages to them instead of having them read and those kinds of things. You have to make some adjustments for the education level as well. And that was a learning curve for me. All right. I'm assuming, is there a second bell on this? You can keep going? Okay. All right. Or do y'all need any other questions or comments or thoughts?
Doing some great work.
No? Okay. All right. Well, I sort of say I try to keep busy. So if you ever want to have a question or a conversation with me, feel free to contact me. Let me know. We'll try to schedule time and talk. FaceTime, if you want to do that, we can do that. Zoom, whatever. But I would love to keep you guys in the loop and keep going on with what's happening. So thank you very much.